Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of NC-17. Today with us we have actor, filmmaker, editor, fellow Michigander. I hate using that word, but we got Terrence Cover. How you doing today?
Oh no, it froze.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Can you hear
now
me?
you're back. Yeah,
Okay. I don't know if that's mine or you. I don't know whose it is. Probably mine,
I
but
don't know why.
yeah. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's
That's good.
another fun rainy day here in winter.
Oh yeah. I take the rain over the snow any day though.
Yeah, especially if it's raining as much as it is now.
Oh yeah. Uh, so before we get into the movies and just kind of like what's gotten you to where you are today, kind of take us back a little bit. What was your first memory of movies and what really got you into wanting to be an actor and just involved in the entertainment industry?
Well, like my earliest memories with movies goes back to childhood, like most people. Um, my parents had what I believed was a Laserdisc player, and we had like three movies on it. We had Empire Strikes Back, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and Poltergeist. And so, like, Poltergeist is a movie I can remember watching multiple times as a child. Um, and so, like, that's my early connection to movies. And then we went to the movie theater a lot too. Um, but as far as like what got me into filmmaking, that came like in high school. So my family owned a camcorder, which was kind of rare in the tiny town I grew up in. So like whenever we did projects in high school and it had to be a video project, I was the one who had to supply the camera.
Oh,
And so we just enjoyed doing video projects over like writing a paper or whatever. So anytime that was an option, we took it. And since I was the one who had the camera, I was the one who was responsible for cutting out all of the screw up parts and like essentially editing. But I didn't have like any sort of editing system because this was the early 2000s, late 90s. So I was just taking like the VCR and the camcorder and like hitting stop and start and record as needed to get the chunks that we needed in the order we needed. And so that was like my first filmmaking experience. And that was what got me into the idea of editing because I really enjoyed doing that for those projects. The whole process of taking like this mess and organizing it and creating something cool out of it. Um, from there, I worked in movie theaters for a long time, and I went to film school up here in Michigan. Even though I lived in Ohio, I drove 3 days a week. I drove 7 hours round trip to go to film school at Motion Picture Institute in Michigan, while still living in Ohio. And then once I graduated from there, I actually moved up to Michigan. So I kind of did that in the wrong order, but uh, that was sort of my journey to get into filmmaking there.
oh yeah. Uh, I actually worked at the Ford Wyoming Drive-In for 13 years.
Oh, cool. I like that place.
You know, it's not what it used to be, but it's still good.
Yeah, for sure. I worked for like a mom and pop theater for a few years and became a manager. And then from there, I went to Cinemark for like less than a year. And then to AMC after that. And AMC was absolutely the worst of all of them, but that was the one I was at the longest.
Oh yeah. Uh, so going through your
Oh no, you
IMDb,
froze.
uh-oh, am I still frozen?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Going through your IMDb, I see I actually have seen quite a few things you've been in. Uh, the first one I want to talk about, I hold in high regard because it is something that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I actually own a copy in here
Oh, of course
somewhere.
it freezes right there, so I don't get to find out.
Is it still frozen?
No, I can hear you now.
Okay. I do apologize about the technical errors.
Oh boy.
Mimesis. You played Manson. Sorry. That was my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Really?
Yes. Like, I really, really enjoyed that movie. and just the twists and turns and like everything. The story was awesome. The acting was awesome. I'm like everything was awesome. So how did you get involved with that
Oh,
film,
you
and
froze.
what was? Uh oh, still frozen? Can you hear me? Can
Oh,
you hear me?
there you're back.
Okay. uh, yeah. How did you get into that? How did you get involved with that film, and what was it like being on set with certain high profile character or people in general?
So I got onto Mimesis or Mimesis. I'm still not clear on the correct pronunciation. The director goes back and forth. Um, but that was directed by Doug Schultz, who was one of the founders of the Motion Picture Institute of Michigan, which was the film school I went to. So I had an easy in to that, but they actually filmed that after I had already graduated. And the story that he told me was that because there were photos throughout the school of like the productions they've done, one of them was a picture of me standing around with the boom pole when we were filming The Rain, which became Dark Fields. Um, and it was right across the hall from his office. So he was sitting there and he looked up and he saw that and he thought of me for that character. Um, and so that was easy to get that role.
Oh yeah. Your camera froze, but we can still hear you. So go ahead and continue.
Have any lines, but it's a cool scene that you get. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do this thing. Um, so I signed up on that. And I didn't get to work, like, I wasn't in any scenes with any of the celebrities other than Courtney Gaines, which was okay because that at the time that was the person I was most excited about working with because The Burbs is one of my all-time favorite movies. So I was real happy that I got to be in a scene with him, one of the Klopeks. And he was a cool guy. I didn't get to talk to him much, but of course, one of the things I had to ask him was like when he does conventions and stuff, how many times do people come up and say, "Hey, Pinocchio, where are you going?" And he was like, "Yeah, they do that all the time." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry I brought it up. Apparently, it's an annoying thing." Um, but the other thing that I remember like talking to him about was he was really excited that at craft services we had red vines instead of Twizzlers, and he said that's how you knew it was like a professional production because like real movies have red vines and like amateur ones have Twizzlers, I guess. So I thought that was kind of neat. Um, Obviously Sid Haig's in there too, and I didn't get to be with him on set, but when we did the premiere in Port Huron, I went out to that and met Doug at a bar before the screening, and he was like, "Hey, here's Sid Haig. We're all gonna ride in the limo over to the theater. Do you want to ride with us?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to do that." And it ended up being just me, my ex-wife, and Sid Haig, and like a couple other people in the limo, and we all rode over together. So that was a really cool experience to just like kind of have a one-on-one with Sid Haig for a few minutes. And then of course I got to like get out of a limo right before he got out. So I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed when like I got out and it wasn't Sid Haig, but eventually Sid Haig did come out and everybody was happy. Um, but yeah, that was a cool thing too. So I enjoyed working on that movie. Um, I I I hurt my knees working on that movie because there's a scene where I get stabbed in the neck and then I fall. And I thought it would be real cool if I just actually fell. And they're like, "Oh, we'll get you a mat and all this stuff." I'm like, "No, it's fine. I'll just drop." And I did that. And I didn't think about how many takes you would have to do that for. And so I just kept falling onto my knees for that shot in this like barn we were shooting at, which had a concrete floor. So that wasn't good, and like it was uncomfortable to walk for like a couple of days. But that was my fault, not the production's fault.
Oh yeah. It was still a great movie. I mean, I think I watched it when I bought it. It first came out, and I think I've watched it well over 30 times. It's a great movie.
Oh no,
Uh,
you froze again.
Uh-oh. Am I still frozen? Still frozen?
Nope, now you're
Oh,
back.
all right.
Um, yeah, I was excited when that came out because that was the first movie I worked on, like that I'm in, that got like a proper DVD release. And like I could go to Family Video and like pick up a copy. So I was really excited about being in that, even though I'm only in it for like, 45 seconds total, but like it was it was still a cool experience. And Doug asked me to like help out when we did when it came out on DVD, we did a couple of events around Michigan at the FYEs. And since I worked in the mall, he was like, "Hey, can you go talk to the FYE and see if we can do something like cool to promote that it's coming out, since it's local?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go down and talk to him." So I talked to the manager there, and we set it up. And it ended up being the manager was like somebody he went to high school with, so that was like an easy thing to put together. But so we did this event that he called Nemesis Day, and myself and like several other people got in like zombie makeup, and I got my makeup from the movie and put my costume on, but they had like zombie makeup, and we all went to this FYE and we hid in the back room, and then at a certain point, we all just kind of came shambling out of there and just walked around the store for like a half hour or something, just as zombies pretending to like chase the customers and stuff. So it was a weird little promotional thing, but it was kind of cool. And then afterwards, like Doug and I did a signing, and yeah, so that was neat.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to have you sign my copy. But
Of course.
uh the next film I would like to talk about is Blood Orgy at Beaver Lake. Uh your name,
Um,
Mr.
you're froze
Delicious.
again.
Uh-oh. Am I still frozen? Hello? Still frozen? Uh-oh. Technical
Oh,
difficulties. I do
oh,
apologize.
oh,
Oh,
there you
there.
are.
Okay.
I'm sure it's my internet probably sucks.
uh,
Um,
uh, yeah, Blood Orgy at Beaver Lake. You play Mr. Delicious.
I sure do. Um, is that one that you've seen, or just one you're excited about because the title is ridiculous?
Oh, I've seen it multiple times.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Um, so that was Mike Hartman made that, and I had worked with him before on his film Heavy Mental. Like that was the first feature film I got to actually work on once I moved up here. That was outside of people that I knew from film school. Um, so we made that, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a sequel to my first movie, Detroit Blood City, and it's Blood Orgy at Beaver Lake." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so he mostly asked me to work on it, just behind the scenes. And but since I had had like a tiny role in Heavy Mental, he was like, "Well, I gotta have you like do something in this one." So he's like, so in those films, like he always has a character named Mr. Delicious. Heavy Mental is Mrs. Delicious, but same thing. And he's like, "Well, I need somebody to play that, and so that's going to be you this time." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Um, so. I had been watching the anime Death Note around that time, and I really liked the character L and like his weird mannerisms and stuff. So for whatever reason, I decided that Mr. Delicious should have a lot of that same stuff. So I dressed in all black and like crouched in a chair and didn't wear shoes and stuff. And then when I got to set, he like handed me some Barbie dolls. He's like, "I want you to play with these in the scene." I'm like, okay. So we did that. And then I did the lines, and for some reason, everybody likes the way that I yell, "I want my drugs." And so, like, anytime I see anybody from that film, that's the quote they yell at me. Um, which is weird because I always forget that I did that. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Oh, you were in the movie." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I did that." Um, so I worked on that movie basically every day. But I was just behind the scenes for everything except for the one day where we did that shot. And that was an interesting one to work on because we actually went out, I forget where the hell it was, somewhere out in the deep woods of Michigan. Mike knew a person who owned some property, yeah, out in the country. He's like, we're all gonna go there and we're gonna camp over the weekend and we're just gonna shoot day to night all day for like 3 days straight. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's interesting. And we actually did do that. And that's the only film I've worked on where we actually got to do that, and it kind of felt like a proper movie set in the sense that like that's all you did, that's all you thought about for like several days, which is rare on an indie film because indie films, it's usually like whatever weekends you can catch, that's when you go and do it, and you just sort of think about it then. So that was a cool experience in that sense. It did rain one night, and like I brought a tent, so we like literally camping, but I didn't think to bring one of the rain covers for it, so everything got soaked that night. So that sucked. But as far as like the shoot and everything goes, like that all went actually pretty smooth. And then that was one where I actually got to work on it editing wise too. He was actually working kind of closely with Trauma at the time, and he had gotten a request from them to re-edit their trailers so they could show them at all the conventions they do. They were getting in trouble because of the content in the trailers because they play them on a TV at the table. And so they've been asked to censor them basically. So he ended up passing the job to me, and I got the job of censoring Trauma trailers, which just feels so wrong. Like the
Yeah.
ugh. Like that's just not the way it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
But it was still a fun experience to just put toxie heads over a bunch of boobs and stuff. Um, the the most frustrating one that I did was a movie called The Taint. And there's scenes in that movie in the trailer where it's just a bunch of like wiggling dicks, like 50 of them, just like this. And so I had to like blur and put toxie heads and like all over like all of these shots. And as a thank you, they gave me a copy of that movie on Blu-ray when we did Trauma Dance Detroit. So I will always feel like I have a connection to that movie that I never worked on, really. Um, but yeah, Blood Or GB for Lake, that was a fun experience. It was a really weird movie. I think that's the weirdest one he's done because there was stuff that we were just filming and like because it was all of us as like a group together for 3 days, we were just like, hey, what if we did this? And like the script was just sort of evolving as we were going and stuff. So stuff just gets thrown in and we're like, hey, we have one of these things over here. Let's just use it. Um, yeah. So that was fun.
Oh yeah. Uh, so I love all horror movies. Actually, I love all movies. I mean, well, except for romance. I'm not a romance person. But the
Sure.
the more like odder names of horror movies draw my attention.
Oh yeah.
That one was definitely one. But the next one we're about to talk
Oh, you
about.
froze.
Uh-oh. Tell me when I'm not frozen no more. Am I frozen?
You're not frozen no more.
Okay. uh, the next one we're going to talk about, the name alone drew me to it, and I was like, okay, I got to watch it. We're going to talk about Feaster Sunday. I think you see the
Cool.
pattern where I'm going. I've seen all the like,
Yeah, the stuff with the interesting titles. I mean, that makes sense. Like that's the stuff that draws me in too. Like if I'm perusing a movie collection or something, I'm like, oh, what's this thing with this funny title? Or, what's this thing that sounds like porn? Is it actually porn? No, it's a weird thing about drug dealers at a campground or whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
So I get that. Yeah, Easter Sunday is actually one of the movies I'm most proud to have worked on in some sense, and then the one that like is kind of hard to talk about in another sense. So the thing that I'm proud about is that's the only so far only feature film I've ever edited. Um, and so like I'm really happy with how all of that turned out. And I was really happy with my performance in the film as well, partly because since I was editing, I got to actually make it and make it the way that I wanted it. Uh, so there's a little bias there, even though it's another one I'm not in very much. But yeah, the bits that I'm in, I'm happy with those. And like it was such a cool, weird like movie that was a sort of a mashup of things that I already enjoyed as well that like I was excited to be involved with it. And it's another one where I worked on it with people that I've worked with a lot before. And the director, Brian Papadrea, uh, had been involved with Blood Orgy at Beaver Lake. He was one of the actors there. That's where I met him. And he and a couple other people that had worked on that, and then Mike Hartman's next movie, Chubby's, had all filmed their or formed their own like sort of indie film company, and then went off and made some more movies. Probably other ones with that you may have seen because of the titles, like Fang Boner, and you know, Chubby's would have been one too, I'm sure. Um, but at this point, Brian wanted to make like his own movie. And so Feast or Sunday was going to be that. So that was the script he came up with. He was going to direct and he was going to star. And like he and I worked together a lot on putting that one together. Um, so like it wasn't my movie, but I was like closely tied to working on it. And so like I have a little pride in how that turned out as well. Um, and all of that's cool and great. And we had a good time on set. And then, like a couple years later, some allegations come out about Brian Papadrea, and now like we can't really talk about him or the things that he's done. And so there's sort of like the stain on like that movie and some of the other ones because of stuff that he did. But um, I'm still proud of the movie itself, and I wish that more people could see it. Unfortunately, since it's entirely his movie, it's only available like it's not even available right now, as far as I know. So like getting it is a pain in the ass because it was just him selling it directly, and now he's not allowed to like be at conventions and stuff. So I don't know how anybody can see it, but if you can, um, it's worth checking out because it is still a good movie.
Oh yeah, I actually got lucky scoring a copy of it at a convention, but it wasn't from anybody. It was a vendor who just had a copy. So I was like, cool.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's cool.
The next one that we're gonna talk about, I will say I've had the director on, and you know he's a good dude. Steve Runsinski, Karis Hell 2.
Yeah.
That was a
Um,
phenomenal movie.
that movie, as far as like me personally, that's my favorite performance so far that I've done because that's a movie where I finally got to like be a character. Like Mr. Delicious and Blood Orgy Beaver Lake, yeah, kind of, but like basically everything else is always just sort of, just be yourself. Because a lot of the movies I'm working on are with like people that already know me, and so like they either wrote it with me in mind or they picked me because they knew that I was basically just that person or could do that personality type easily anyway. But Carousel 2, now that's a movie where I got to audition and I got a part because of the audition. And then I got to play a character and I got to do a voice and I got to pick a wardrobe. And so, like, I love my character in that movie and everything I got to do for it. Um, so I originally auditioned for the other Nazi. There's Otto and Klaus for the male Nazis, and I originally auditioned for Klaus because he was sort of the high energy, bumbling kind of guy, and I had done that sort of thing before. I was like, that's easy. That's probably a fit for me. So that's what I'll audition for, and I did that. And I sent it to Steve, and he wrote back. He's like, that's fine. Thank you. But how about you also audition for Otto? I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I did that one. And wisely, I believe, he decided that that's the one I should have. Um, and yeah, so that was the movie where I had the most lines that I'd done yet in a feature. And so I'm terrible at memorizing. So that's normally why I have like these small roles because I can't memorize for shit. Um, but because of this movie, like I was so excited to be in it because I had seen Cara's Hell and it was cool. It was making a sequel and I got the part and everything. So I wanted to put in that extra effort. So I recorded myself saying all of my lines and all of the other people's lines in those scenes. And then I played them back while I was driving, because, I live in Michigan, we filmed in Pittsburgh. So it was a 5 hour drive. So the entire time I was driving there, I'm playing this recording on a loop and then just sort of muting it when it gets to my line to try and remember like what my line's supposed to be and then playing it back. And that's how I ended up like getting the lines kind of memorized. Um, and then I drove there, and the very first thing that we shot was the big scene, the big dramatic scene. And um, I don't want to spoil what happens after it because if you've seen it, you know the scene. Um, but that was what he wanted to do first, which makes sense. The trauma rule. You get all of the nudity out of the way, you do it first, so they can't back out later in the movie, after you've already recorded stuff. Um, so we did all of that that very first day. It was just sort of like, hey, introduction, introduction. All right, go upstairs and we're gonna film some stuff. And so that was an interesting experience. But that was another one where I got to like kind of be like just on a movie set for, multiple days in a row. Like I got to go to another state, I got a hotel room, and then like all I did was just hang out on movie set for like 3 days in a row. And so that was really cool. And yeah, there wasn't much to the effects for stuff that I did. I just have the one scene there at the end. But otherwise, it was just sort of like regular acting, and I had a lot of fun on that set, and I would happily go back with Steve Makes Four. I would gladly come back as a ghost or anything. So I'm just putting that out there in case Steve ends up seeing this. I've
Oh, I'm
talked
gonna
to him
send
at
it straight to
conventions. Yeah. I've talked to him at conventions and he said, there's always a possibility. And I said, well, let's make it more than a possibility. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm very proud of having been involved with that movie. And I'm glad that the third one came out and came out so well. And hopefully, because of that, that definitely means there'll be a fourth one. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. Uh, so before we get into your newer things that haven't come out yet, there's one more.
Mhm.
I'm going to say probably the best title of any movie I've heard of in the last decade. Spooky Dookie.
It always freezes when you say you're going to say a title. So now I don't, I don't know what it is again.
Spooky Dookie. Did you hear me that time?
Nope, but you're back now.
Okay. Spooky Dookie. I actually
Oh,
own the Blu-ray of that movie somewhere around here too.
awesome. Yeah, so that was the next movie that Brian Papandrea did after Feast or Sunday, and it's sort of an anthology film, so it's a bunch of like little little short things just kind of loosely strung together because of this like these three scenes that kind of connect it all. And I'm in those scenes that sort of tie it all together. And like I didn't do anything behind the scenes on that one. It was just me showing up for my one part. I think we just shot in one day, but it's another one of those movies where I got to be the character that's in the scene that if you've seen the movie, that's the thing you're probably going to talk about, which is always a very cool feeling, especially when you read the script and you know that's the case. And so you're like, oh, we get to do that. Um, that's weird and fun and gross and all of the things that I want it to be. Um, yeah, that was just a quick sort of afternoon shoot. Like I showed up and he gave me some rolls for food and I put them in my pocket. And then we went to the cemetery and filmed a little bit there. And then we went back to his house and down in the basement where we shot all of the goo and things. And that was it was mostly fine. It's the sort of thing where it could be really unpleasant. The only thing that was really unpleasant was the silly string. Because once that like gets to your face, there's like fumes that come off of that, and it's just like right here, so it goes right into your nose, and like that was the only thing that bothered me out of all the stuff that we were spraying or shooting at me and stuff in that scene. But yeah, silly string sucks. I don't care for
Yeah, neither do I.
that.
So I do before we go into the ones that you haven't that aren't out yet. I do want to talk about a couple that I haven't seen. Uh,
Okay.
Funeral Home Horror. You play Andrew. What? How was that? A kind of like the synopsis without spoiling anything.
So that's another movie where it's an anthology film. Um, Another one where there's like sort of a host and he says, "Here's the story about blah." Um, and the scene that I'm in is actually a really quick one. I think it ended up being like 30 seconds or a minute or something. And the director just kind of, I don't know if he threw the scene in just for fun to give me something to do, or if he just threw me in for fun to give me something to do. It was directed by John Perog, and I had met him working on the Amazing Cynical Man movie, which we filmed down in Hamtramck, um, which was another movie I was excited about working on because that was a character that the director had created, and he was like doing in like comic strips and was even in like a Disney magazine and stuff. So it sort of felt like an important thing and a cool thing to work on. But yeah, John worked on that as well behind the scenes, and I think he played a character or maybe two. So when he made his first movie, he was like, "Hey, will you come be in this thing for me?" I was like, "Okay." And the scene in that it's real short. Like we shot it in like maybe an hour or whatever. But as far as what it's about, it's like I said, it's an anthology with sort of loose horror themes, sort of a Tales from the Crypt wannabe kind of thing. Um, Honestly, it's not great. I don't know that you need to seek it out, but if you happen to come across one at like a convention or a dollar bin somewhere, it's there.
One more that you've done, and then we'll get into the ones that aren't out.
Sure.
Detroit Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah. So that was a fan film that was conceived and directed and written by Kim Howard. And they were somebody that so I originally like one of the first things that I worked on when I came up here was a project that I and some of my fellow film student, like people that I met at film school, we had all come together to make this web series called Suburban Heroes. And we ended up doing 2 seasons of it. On the second season, like in between one and two, we did a short film. And on that short film, we did a casting call. And that's how I met Kim Howard was through that. But then, like, I had done other things, like, we ended up working together on other stuff. And when I made my movie, Dambulance, that I wrote and directed, I brought on Kim to do a voice because they had done some voice acting stuff. So, like, I brought them out, we recorded it, and then we went to lunch afterwards. And while we were at lunch, they were like, I've always wanted to make my own Ghostbusters movie. I really like Ghostbusters, and I've had this idea for like a Detroit branch of Ghostbusters kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like, I'd totally help you do that. Let's do that. And so because of that lunch conversation, they ended up like digging up this script that they had written like 5 or 10 years ago and like fixing it up and like sending it to me. And then we like, all right, let's do it. And so, yeah, I got to be in that. I helped make it, and I got to play a Ghostbuster, which was like super cool. Because we had like reached out to one or two different Ghostbuster groups around here, and they supplied like the proton packs and some of the other equipment. Kim like made the actual Ghostbusters uniforms, so I got to like wear a Ghostbusters uniform with a proper proton pack. Like this was one of the groups where they get really serious about the details on it. So it was made of metal and like real wire and everything. So like the stupid thing was heavy, but it looks real cool and it was fun to like wave it around and like run up and down this hallway and stuff. And getting to be a Ghostbuster and everything. Um, yeah, so we did that, and unfortunately, because it's a fan film, you can't like sell it or anything. So it's just sort of on YouTube. Um, but it's worth checking out if you have any interest in Ghostbusters or stuff. I was excited about that because I thought we were going to be able to like branch it out and do more. And we did do like a second one, sort of, but it was we wanted to do a feature and then like stuff happened as it always does, and we didn't get to. So there's just sort of this like some bits and pieces that we'd filmed and kind of cobbled together to make a second one. And that's out there too. But yeah, that was a cool experience to get to like say that I've been a Ghostbuster, like unofficially, I guess. But yeah, we even promoted at a convention once, and it was Detroit Fanfare, and Maurice LaMarche was there, who did one of the some of the voices on the real Ghostbusters. So it was cool. We were in our uniforms and we went up and got to meet him, and he did some of the voices for us and got our pictures and stuff. So yeah, a lot of good memories with that movie.
Oh yeah, and you know, in some way, shape, or form, your name is now synonymous with probably one of the best movies in history. You know,
Yeah, yeah, it's cool to get to be tied into it, even unofficially in that way. I was really hoping when they did that documentary Ghost Heads about like fans of Ghostbusters that maybe they dig that up and like talk to us about it and stuff, but unfortunately it got looked over. But yeah, it's still cool to be part of that community.
oh yeah. All right, so let's dig into two of the things you've got coming up. You are currently filming. Uh, Within the Shadows is the first one. Kind of give us a synopsis of what that is without spoiling anything, and just kind of how you play into the movie.
Well, that one ties into another recent interview that you did, Michael Gary Peterson, who directed that. And is directing that. Like he's actively filming right now.
Hmm.
As far as the story, I haven't actually read the entire script. I've only read like my scene. I know it has something to do with like a dark secret and a baby and like a cult or something. Um, so I have no doubt it's going to be very interesting. Um, but yeah, I just know my scene in it, and we have not yet shot it. I think it's probably going to be one of the last things they end up shooting because it involves like getting a grocery store, and so it'll be cool to get to be like on set in a like a grocery store and stuff, which I've done before in another movie called Possessive. Uh, but this time I'll be the manager instead of one of the employees. Um, but yeah, I don't have too much to say about that yet because we haven't shot it yet, but
Oh
it
yeah,
should be fun.
oh yeah. And then one more, and then I will give you the floor to be able to give advice to anybody or plug any of your socials and stuff. Uh, I've heard a lot about it from multiple people. A movie called Sugar Boys.
Oh yeah.
You know,
So
go
yeah,
ahead.
that is like a high quality action comedy that's being shot in the Detroit area, and I think they've been working on it for maybe a couple of years, but at least like this last year they've really been going heavy on it. And shooting stuff. And I'm actually just an extra in that. So I was just there for a day. But the scene that I was in was at the Rooster Tail, which is like a famous nightclub in Detroit on the river. So it was cool to get to be in a historic place like that and like just sort of a fancy place too. Like so I had to like dress up and look proper and everything, which I don't do too often. Um, so yeah, but everything. as far as the story, again, I don't know too much. I didn't get a script since I was just an extra, but I know there is a trailer out on YouTube. And it has sort of a maybe a buddy cop kind of vibe, but like they're putting a lot of work into the action scenes and stuff, and they look really good, especially for like an indie film. Um, and just to like drag out this part that I'm talking where I get to talk, um, it's being directed by a fellow named Marquise White, whom I met, another person I met when I first moved up here. He was somebody that had put out an ad. I want to say it was on Craigslist, but it may have been somewhere else, just looking for actors for a short film that he was going to do. And the idea was it was supposed to be a short film as a proof of concept so he could then do the feature film version of it. And I went to that audition, and that's where I met him. And I ended up being the main character in that short film called OBE, Outer Body Experience. And it was kind of just him and I making that movie, which was cool. And we did that. And I know he took it around and tried to get some interest in stuff, but I guess he never really got the funding he wanted to do a feature version. So he wrote a novel instead. So that's out on Amazon or something. But yeah, so that's how I met him. And then, like, after that whole thing sort of died out, like, I didn't hear from him for, I don't know, 15 years. And then all of a sudden, um, I hear about the Sugar Boys thing and I see his name on it. I'm like, well, that's weird. I don't even know what he's been up to this entire time, but apparently he's making a feature film. And yeah, so I just replied to a call for extras on that, and I got there, and like he remembered me and everything, so that was cool. So it was a good time catching up with him and all that. So yeah, I'm excited to see the finished product of that because it's cool to see somebody that you saw, like that you worked with back when you were both getting started, 15, 20 years later, seeing like what they can do now with all that time and experience and everything. And it looks like that time has been well spent because it's a good looking trailer. So I can imagine that the feature should live up to that.
Oh yeah. We are coming to close to the end of the show, so I'm going to give you the floor to give advice to people who are trying to get into the industry, whether it be movie, acting, directing, editing, anything, and just kind of plug your socials where people can or cannot reach out to you. That's entirely up to you, and where they can or cannot see your films. Well, where they can see your
Um,
films.
right. So, all of my films are just sort of a mess as far as like trying to like track them down and see them. My personal ones are on my YouTube page. And I'm on YouTube as Saint Terence, STTERENCE. Um, and you can find films that I written, directed, music videos that I did there. For a while, I was doing a YouTube series where I was doing storytelling. So all of that's on there, trailers to stuff I've worked on. I have playlists and stuff for stuff like that. So that's sort of the main spot to find anything film related for me is on YouTube, uh, St. Terrence, or you can look up, probably type in my name or something. I don't know. I'm sure we'll have a link somewhere on this
Yeah.
for that. Um, as far as advice or anything, I don't know if I'm the person who should be giving advice about anything. Like, I don't know. But like I guess the biggest thing that I've learned in my journey starting in 2005 when I first went to film school to now is, it's just filmmaking is so much about who you know. And most people say that in like this really negative way. And in a lot of ways, it is. Like it sucks if you don't know the right people. But at the same time, if you know that, it means you know what you can do to try and advance yourself. It's a matter of just, especially when you're getting started, work on everything. Get to know all of the people and form connections because you never know which one of those people is going to like take off or like do a big thing later. So, like I've mentioned on here, like I met Marquise back in, when I first moved up here, and then we worked on a thing like just now, 15, 20 years later. So, like when you're getting started, just work on everything you can. Like, don't worry about, ooh, am I getting paid enough or am I getting paid at all or like stuff like that. When you're first starting out, it doesn't matter. Just go out and do stuff. Just like make a fucking movie, work on your friends' movies and all of that. Just do it. And you can worry about anything else later. You can work towards that stuff. The important thing is just be doing it when you can.
Oh, yeah. Uh, I want to thank you, Terrence, for coming on. You've been an awesome guest, and
Thank you.
I'm probably going to go back and watch a couple of the movies we've talked about because they were they were good movies. uh,
Awesome.
but I always tell everybody once you've been on NC-17, you have a home with us. You can come back on this show anytime, whether it be to talk about movies, plug movies, or just say, Josh, you got a booger in your nose, but I clean it out every day. So uh, who knows? We'll probably bump into each other at some point since we are both literally 20 minutes away from each other.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'll see you at Motor City Nightmares one of these years or
Yeah.
any other convention.
Oh yeah. Uh, actually, we'll be there this year. 2026. We'll be there 2026.
All right, well then I'll definitely see you there.
Oh yeah. All right. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sit with us. And if you're not subscribed to the NC-17 channel, we will be doing the NC-17 Awards live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Uh, Click in, join the festivities, and support independent film. That's all I got.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, until next time, stay NC-17.